Don't spit in our face. Okay, back up. Okay, man, we're their hand and expects me to drop everything to talk to them. If you want to talk to somebody, if they won't take your phone call, fax them a letter. If they don't respond to that, call them again. Don't call them 6 or 7 times in one day or in 1 hour. Call them on Monday. If they don't call you back, call them on Wednesday. If you don't hear from them, call them on Friday.
Hounding the guy isn't going to work. Calling me 100 times a day when I'm in the middle of 100 different things, I'm sorry, but to everyone, their job or their opportunity is more important. But that's a fault that I could tell you that there's certain ways to go for a job, even when I'm looking for a job. I'm not going to hound the president of a hotel for another job, Also, no homemade stuff. A lot of guys are giving homemade tapes they made in the garage, in the basement with a fake microphone. I can show you tapes of guys who use a hairbrush as a microphone. I love to give guys that are hungry an opportunity as long as you're approached properly. As a business deal.
We will not book anyone's sight unseen. So for anyone to think they can make a phone call and say, I got the best group in the world, and my aunt thinks it's great, and my uncle thinks it's wonderful, that's not going to cut it. We need a videotape, and we need to know what your set list is, the kind of music that you'll perform, how many members in the group, where you performed before. I would look at this as if you're looking like anyone would look for personal employment.
Don't just send something. If you get a mailing list of industry execs, 99% of the time, unsolicited material ends up in a pile on the floor or in the trash can. You should start with a phone call or a letter and follow up from there.
I think when someone tries to be too many performers, or they write songs that cover so much ground, that it's just too confusing to someone in the industry sitting in an office being hit with 10,000 CDs, tapes a week, all vying for attention. How's that person going to grasp the real message of music? And so I take a 10-song demo and I make it 3. And, the same things, you pick your best stuff and everything, but yeah, try to just be one thing and then take it from there.
To assume that it's just going to happen, or that the club is going to do it on their own, or by sending stuff to radio stations that they're just going to open up the package and start playing playing it on the air, isn't going to work. You might have to follow up and call the radio station. You might have to go into town and bring another CD and say, please play it, and sit there. And to assume that people just on their own goodwill are going to support you isn't enough.
There's a way of emerging as an artist, and you need to do that step by step. And you need not jump into an arena before you're ready. Because if you try to do that, if you think you're on a local level and you're playing the Holiday Inn, and gee, I need to go play at Monterey Jazz Festival now, that ain't happening. It's just not happening. So you need to be aware of where you are in the scheme of things.
People have to look at a band and see that they're having fun. When I buy a band and I see that they're basically some type of automaton, I won't hire them. I want people to see the band having a good time. You're not going to have a good time all the time. There's going to be times where it's a job, and it's nothing more than a job. If you find that to happen, I think it's time to get out of the music business. I think it's time to do something else. I think what you have to do, like anything else, is find a way that if one avenue of the music business isn't working, find another.
One of the problems that a lot of local groups can wear out their welcome is by constantly bugging or asking for too much. I'm talking about instead of just having one dressing room for the group, they'll ask for more. Or they'll ask for Perrier water instead of regular bottled water. Be simple. Don't try and overcrowd yourself by asking and having a lot of demands, because we've all heard the stories, and I've been through it all with national acts. Let's not try and put yourself into a national category before you get there, because that can be the fastest turnoff.
In today's vastly growing cruise line industry, there are many, many opportunities for musicians in many venues. Entertainers and musicians who can play their instrument and can perform brilliantly is what we want, but we also want people who can interact with the guests. Very important not only to be a musician and entertainer, but to be a little bit of a public relations specialist.
In Las Vegas, the club date business is probably the best business to be in right now. The club date business is fantastic, and most people do use live bands, anything from trios up to big bands. Now, how to get in with these people and to these different places is obviously get in with the music director. Send the music director tapes, CDs, call the music director on the phone, make follow-up calls.
These days in Vegas, my hotel, the Riviera, we have entertainment 7 nights a week. Most hotels have it 6 nights, 7 nights. A lot of hotels have afternoons. Certain hotels on the Strip, starting at noon, there's entertainment till 4 in the morning. You know, here at the hotel, I have stuff on certain nights for 12 hours straight. You know, there is a lot of stuff. You got to break in. You gotta break in. You got to get your foot in the door. You got to show everybody what you can do. And sometimes it takes a little step back, and it's not always for the dollars. You know, I mean, you're building, you're putting bricks into a wall here to try to build a foundation to eventually, you know, you'll have the biggest band, the highest paid band on the Strip. You know, and then from there, you know, possibly a record deal. It's happened with numerous lounge acts here in town, and then there's also the lucrative